From After Dark World headquarters, this is your favorite correspondent, KD. It's time to get your ass out of bed. For Mr. and Ms. America, all ships at sea and all sods everywhere, good morning to you. A good chilly, drizzly morning. Friday, November 19th, 2021. Good morning, everyone. As you can tell, Sophia has returned. What would a morning report be without the genius of Vance Randolph? Everybody got their copy of this yet? What a guy. Story time, everyone. Gather around. The name of this story is Wind on His Guts. Told by Elizabeth Maddox, Joplin, Missouri, June 1937. She heard the tale in Christian County, Missouri around 1900. So this story is 121 years old. One time, there was a farmer that always had wind on his gut. Till he was pooched out like a cat full of kittens. He could belch the loudest you ever heard, and whenever he let a fart, it would stink something terrible. Finally, he fired off a big one around 4 o'clock in the morning, so his wife jumped up and run out of the house. The kids run out too, and they all stood around in the yard a-puking till sunup. It took most of the morning to get the house aired out so they could make some coffee, and after she drunk it, the old woman spoke up. "I can't stand no more of this." She says, "If you don't go see the doctor, me and the kids are going to leave here and live with my folks." There was considerable grumbling and high words, but after a while, the fellow rode into town. When he got to the doctor's office, the farmer said, "Doc, there must be something wrong with my innards. Whenever I happen to break wind, it stinks so bad that nobody can stay in the house with me." Doc Horton thought a while, and then he said, "Do you reckon you could poot a little right now?" The fellow just drawed a deep breath, and then he turned loose a blast that pretty near unjointed him. Doc didn't say nothing, but he jumped up to open the windows and the transom over the back door. Then he throwed the front door wide open, and the people that were awaiting in the office all went out to get some fresh air. "My God," said Doc, "something must have crawled up in you and died." The fellow says he wants a bottle of strong medicine, but Doc just shook his head. "Medicine won't do no good," he says, "but I advise you to take a big dish of raw onions with every meal, and a lot of garlic, and maybe some wild ramps. And at night, just before you go to bed, you better eat a half a pound of Limburger cheese." The poor farmer turned kind of green around the gills. "Do you reckon that stuff will cure me?" he says. Doc Horton looked mighty solemn. "No, I don't believe it will cure you," says he, "but it might help some." If you didn't like that, maybe you'll like this. Jerry Springer's wildest shows ever. One specific show I want to read about. Her name is Annabelle Chong. I slept with 251 men in 10 hours. As the show title proclaims, Annabelle Chong had sex with 250 men, in just 10 hours. This apparently gave her claim to the world sex record, beating the previous mark of 120 by a wide open margin, so to speak. But it wasn't all fun. Annabelle is a porn queen, and the stunt was recorded and released on a 4-hour videotape, bringing her fame and fortune. In her exclusive interview on Springer, Annabelle bears all about what made her do it and is confronted by a few of her supporting actors and their less than supportive wives. The Queen is introduced to a chorus of astonishment from the women in the audience. The facts of the matter are pretty straightforward. The motivation and morals are more complex. Jerry gets right to the heart of things when he asks, why? Annabelle's simple answer, it's never been done before. To her, it's no different from having sex for 10 hours with one guy, and I've done that before. We shall return to the wildest shows ever. If you didn't like that, maybe you'll like this. This is Trinitite. Now, I can hear everybody at home now saying, a rock. How quaint. No, it's not exactly a rock. Here's a larger specimen. Do you see that it's got a greenish color? The background is this. When they did the Trinity test in Alamogordo, New Mexico, that is the test firing of an atomic bomb for the first time. It was on a steel tower 100 feet high, and they detonated it. This would be in 1945. Everything was vaporized for a half a mile. The glass fused together and turned a light green color. It was suspended from a steel tower, and the tower was vaporized also. And here's a sample which got more of a brown rust color because this was what's left of the steel tower. The background story is, after the Trinity test in 1945, the area was fenced off with all this green fused glass and some of this brownish fused material. But rock collectors were able to crawl over the fence and get some. The U.S. Army buried it all in 1952 or 3, but between 1945 and 53, a lot was gathered up. It is not illegal to own it. It was shipped via the U.S. mail. It is mildly radioactive. You want to see American badassery at its most badassery? There it is. So I was able to acquire several samples just because I wanted it. Remember the name, Trinitite, Alamogordo glass, that you can buy via the mail. If you didn't like that, maybe you'll like this. The Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley. The Doors of Perception. Didn't the group The Doors get their name from this book? The answer is yes. A short passage. They're speaking about things that are known and unknown about substances one might take. But this is very interesting quote right here. Ours is the age, among other things, of the automobile and of rocketing populations. Alcohol is incompatible with safety on the roads, and its production, like that of tobacco, condemns to virtual sterility many millions of acres of the most fertile soil. The problem raised by alcohol and tobacco cannot, it goes without saying, be solved by prohibition. The universal and ever-present urge to self-transcendence is not to be abolished by slamming the current popular doors in the wall. The only reasonable policy is to open other, better doors in the hope of inducing men and women to exchange their old bad habits for new and less harmful ones. I totally agree with this. The Doors of Perception, Aldous Huxley. I could recommend it. If you didn't like that, you like that. Maybe you'll like this. Oh yes, we're going to get back to Deep Throat. There's Ms. Linda Lovelace. This is near the very end of the book. One of the most memorable scenes in the entire movie, if you saw the movie. So I've been told, this is what they say in the end of the movie. Linda and her steady boyfriend are having a very serious conversation about getting married. Linda speaks. I know, Wilbur, and I want to get married. It's just that, well, the man I marry has to have a 9-inch cock. Linda found it very difficult to say what she had to say to Wilbur, but she knew she'd be unhappy if her conditions weren't met. Dr. Young had warned her to be very certain that whoever she married met certain stipulations. Linda had an inspiration. You know, Wilbur, it's all Dr. Young's fault. Why don't you call him? Maybe he can do something, an operation or something. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I'd do anything at this point. Hello, Wilbur said, speaking confidently into the phone. Dr. Young, it's Wilbur. You've got to help me. I'm in love. Linda, we want to get married. Thank you. I know she is. There's only one problem. She needs a 9-inch cock. Please, Dr. Young, help me. Only 4 inches? What can you do? Any size I want? When? Tomorrow? I'll be in your office first thing in the morning. Oh, yeah. I'll bring you some fresh rolls from the plant. I'm so happy. You've made me a very happy man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Linda, he said, he can do it. He says there's no problem. He says he can cut it down to any size that you want. It won't be long, darling. Let me repeat that. Linda, he says he can do it. He says there's no problem. He says he can cut it down to any size you want. It won't be long now, darling. Deep Throat. If you didn't like that, maybe you'll like this. There she is. Xavier Hollander. Check her out, guys. There she is. Boy, is this one a doozy. This is so good. I just don't know where to begin, but I'll begin here. Dear Xavier, seems to me a lot of dudes have been in your pants. And most of them didn't exactly service you the way you'd like to be serviced. At least you only write about the few guys who made your bell ring. Well, how'd you like to make a little sporting proposition? I'll buy us an old fine evening on the town, but you pay me. If I don't have the thickest dong you've ever laid lips upon, not only will you have a fine old time chomping on this fat dick of mine, but when I put it in you, you're going to see stars. I know this sounds kind of fat-headed of me, but you'll find that seeing and sucking and fucking is believing. I've got the biggest cock in the country. Please write me in care of my business address. My wife has read both your books and she's sure to figure out what her horny-handed hubby is up to. Yours for mutual exploration. Name withheld, Battle Creek, Michigan. You know, this show is getting way too good to have only 40 subscribers. Can you help me out? We've got 40. I need 41. Can you help me out? I know you can. So, for Mr. and Ms. America, all ships at sea, all sods everywhere. Let's get shit done. You don't have to fly out of bed. You don't have to leap out of bed. You can crawl out of bed, but get your ass up and do things. National Goof Off Month is coming for some folks, but not for us. We shall keep calm and carry on. Always be nice until it's time not to be nice. Be kind to animals. Never complain and never explain. Discipline equals freedom. And I'm hoping to see you all on the road to adventure very, very soon. And if you can, help me out with some more subscribers. I know you will. Have a great day, everyone.